Today we're going from grain to glass at Figure 8 Brewing in beautiful downtown Valparaiso, Indiana, as we jump in the lake. What exactly are we making?
This is what's called Railcat Ale, which is a beer we're doing for the Gary Railcats.
Now what is happening to the malt?
It's being milled, so it's cracking the husk or the shell of it, so we're able to get at the starches and enzymes that we need to create sugar.
And this water is, I mean, I can feel the steam coming off of it. How hot is it?
It's 170 degrees right now. And what we're gonna do is we want our temperature, once we've added the grain to it, to be about 152 degrees.
Okay.
And this is what's called the mash.
Now there's nothing in here right now except the malt and the water, correct?
Yes. Throughout the process, the other things we'll add will be hops and then yeast. And the hops go in the boil kettle, and the yeast is at the end of the process, right when we start fermentation.
How many bags do you typically put in the hopper?
Since this one, well, each bag is 50 pounds. So this grain bale comes to right around 400 pounds.
How much beer do you expect to get from 400 grains?
This batch we will get about 200 gallons. So what I'm brewing is called a 7-barrel batch, and a barrel is 31 gallons.
Okay.
It's a good workout, especially when you get the 800-pound grain bills. And we're gonna close this up for 45 minutes then. Your chemical reaction you're shooting for is yeast plus sugar equals alcohol and CO2.
Okay.
So we're creating a sugar water, and then when we add the yeast to it, it will eat that amount of sugar water and will tell us how much alcohol we create.
Got it.
And more grain you put in, the more sugar you create. So what's happening is we're adding water from there, and it gradually dilutes it down to the amount we want, and also gets us the amount of liquid we want to create the beer.
Now is this just filtering the malt out of the water?
Yeah, the strainer just makes sure that no chunks of malt go anywhere out of here. That adds a flavor to the beer that we don't want.
Mike, yeah, is it just recycling?
Yep.
Okay.
Recirculating.
Got it.
Technical term is Vorlauf.
I mean, it smells grainy. Amanda said bread. I don't know if I guess, yeah, sort of.
Now it's already starting to clarify.
Okay.
Part of the reason we do this is to clarify the beer, and it was a big use of the Germans because they like their pilsners and lagers to look real crystal clear.
Okay. Have you ever dropped pieces in there? Whoops.
Yes. And you catch it when you find it when you're shoveling the grain out at the end.
Got it.
That'll be another fun interactive thing. Get to help shovel grain with us. So what's happening is we're adding water from there, and it gradually dilutes it down to the amount we want, and also gets us the amount of liquid we want to create the beer. The process I just set up for 2 here is called sparge. So as we're drawing...
Sparge?
Yep, S-P-A-R-G-E.
Okay.
As we're drawing liquid off of here, we're removing it from here. So we need to add more, which I have in that tank up above. So gravity's just gonna let it drop in, and we're gonna add more hot water to it. We're taking the wort from the mash tun, drawing it into the kettle. And this process will take about an hour and a half. We're gonna get around 240, maybe 250 gallons out of this. And then when we boil off about 20 gallons throughout the process.
This is the first.
It's called the first runnings. So it's just wort, sugar water, probably about 150 degrees. So.
Wow. It's incredibly sweet.
Yep.
And far more than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sugar in this.
Just straight sugar, yep. And not a whole lot of flavor yet because we haven't added the hops.
No, I mean, you can clearly taste the grain in here,
Yep.
but the overwhelming sense, this is just very sweet.
Very sweet. So these are the hops, what they come in looking like. They look like rabbit pellets. Each hop variety will add its own little unique character to the beer. Go ahead, 211. All right, 10:55. All right, so now we get to start shoveling.
All right.
That's the fun time.
Mike, should I close this up or leave it open?
We'll leave it open. There you go. Just push it towards the door. That's all you have to do, so Dave can grab it with the hole. We're transferring into the fermenter. When the beer is done being brewed, we'll push it into here at about 70 degrees, and this is when we add the yeast to it. So that's basically it, and then from here out we just clean it, or clean the kettle and get everything cleaned up, and then from there in 7 to 10 days we'll be filtering it and putting it in kegs, and this particular beer shipping it to the Railcat Stadium.
So the product that we help make today is going to be
poured at Gary Railcat Stadium. Yep.
That's so cool. We've shoveled the mash out. We're going to call the farmer so he can come and bring it to his cows. And more importantly, we're going to go upstairs to a conference room and sample some of what we've been working on.
We have a handy beer menu that will have all our beers listed with a quick, brief description of it. The front is the year-rounds and the back will be the seasonals. Now we're to the fun part of the job, the tasting.
Okay.
So we're going to start out. We have all of our beers that are currently on tap. This consists of our 6 year-round beers and our seasonals.
These are the year-rounds?
Yep.
These are the seasonals?
Yep. And then also a new beer that isn't available here. We're making it for the Gary Railcats, which is the beer we're brewing in back.
The one that we've been working on all morning.
It's called Railcat Pale Ale, and they're serving it at the stadium directly behind home plate.
Okay.
And it's going to be a lot of fun to have our beer available there, and it's a perfect summertime ball game beer. So this is Railcat Pale Ale. Pretty light, but a lot of hops, a lot of flavor. You get the citrusy to it.
Yeah, it's you're right. It's light. It's very refreshing, and it's going to be a perfect accompaniment to any Railcat game.
Yep.
When it gets hot,
day.
it will be hot eventually.
Yep.
You talked about working. Well, obviously we're working with the Railcats. You're talking about working with Strongbow. I just sense that Figure 8 has just these tentacles of community ties.
We want to be a part of the community. If you think brewery histories, the publicans are what the pubs turned out to be, which were meeting places for politicians in England. And it was a big part of the community where the brew pub scene. So that's something we're trying to make sure we are. I like the fact that I can walk down the street and people stop me and go, oh, you got some new beer coming on, and stuff like that. So it's really cool trying to be a staple of the community. One of the things we do is a thing called a philanthropint, where we take a different charitable organization once a month.
I've never heard of that before. I like that.
Once a month, and we donate 50 cents off of a certain beer. From that pint sold for that month, we'll donate to that charity. This month, it's Opportunity Enterprises.
Okay.
So, and actually, without even intentionally doing it, that is the lead-in to the beer that we do. It's an IPA called Where Lizards Dare, and this is our specific philanthropint.
Okay. Where Lizards
Beer.
Dare? I'm just curious where did that name
That's
come
another rock climb theme, and it's a pretty steep climb. So it's where lizards dare to go. I don't rock climb, so I'm afraid of heights.
You don't dare.
Yes, I don't dare. And this is an IPA.
Well, thank you so much, Mike, for taking the time to talk us through it and let us participate in the process, because it's one thing to hear about it, quite another thing to get hands-on and help produce the product.
It's the only way you're going to learn. Get dirty.
And drink a bit, too.
Yes, yes.